Steve, one place to start. You've rattled a few cages talking about the VAR.
Listen, I don't profess to say that I'm a big lover of VAR. I think everyone loves the emotion of being a football supporter on the ground, and I think there's many pundits spoken about my words this week and said, does he mean it, does he not mean it? The actual fact is when they're getting decisions as bad as what the officials are getting, in particular in the EFL, then something has to be done, because the ultimate prize for every club in the EFL, believe it or not, is to be in the Premier League. Some of us may never ever get there, but that's the prize that we're playing for. So the Premier League should be supporting that all the way down the pyramid to ensure that, particularly for them, the clubs in the Championship should be next in line because they're playing for such a great prize. But I only have to look at the emails getting now. Your young secretary said it before, James, and he said it again on Sunday morning. I got a verbal apology on Tuesday, got a written apology for Blackpool the week before, I got another one for Wigan. It just doesn't stop, with a referee and the head of one of the top header referees, Kevin Friend, came in here last week about the Bolton performance, and we're going through 6 and 7 key incidents, and it's wrong. We're sick of it. So VAR would eliminate a lot of these issues. Although, like everyone else, you'd get frustrated if it went against you rather than for you. And I think you listen to some very experienced managers. But the best one I heard was Kyle Walker on England duty midweek, when they asked him what he thought of VAR, and he says, when it goes for you, you're buzzing. When it goes against you, you're crying. So but that's what it is. But if they've got it at a part of the game, it should be in all of the game.
Do you think you're being listened to?
No. I think I think there's a chance I'm getting listened to. I think just they've got that many wrong. This isn't just Steve Evans and Stevenage or Paul Rayner of all the players. It's not about us. It's about the wider context of the game. I don't think there's Mike's. When I spoke to Mike, who's the head of it all, on Sunday morning, he said to me, "I've got 9 managers to speak to," and he does really intelligently. He does it with a real degree of honesty. But he can't go out there. He was a top referee himself. He can't go out there and officiate for the guys that are getting some real bad decisions wrong. So it is really the quality of refereeing. I'm the first to say, when I referee in training, I'm getting moaned at and held up with the players. It's a tough job, but they get paid to do a tough job. We've all got tough jobs. You have, I have, everyone in this room has, but you get paid to do a tough job.
It's such a subject, isn't it? Can football afford it?
Probably the answer is no. If you go all the way down the line, I don't think even grounds such as the Lamex or grounds of most of Leagues 1 and Leagues 2 could support VAR and the cameras and the stations and the feedback in the studios. But would there be any reason not to have somebody sitting in the stand with a television screen in front of them, because we stream all the games? Would there be anything wrong with a senior match official who'd become accountable to sitting in the stand? They're all on earpieces, they're all speaking to each other. The assessors who will sit in the Lamex stand on Saturday will hear every comment between the fourth and the referee and the assistants. Is there anything wrong? Somebody sitting there with a television screen saying, "Ooh, I'm going to relook at this." That doesn't take all the infrastructure you have in the top level, but it still gives you a degree of confidence. Should we have penalties at Bolton? Should we have people sent off against us? Should we have a clear goal on Saturday? These are all answers that are clearly yes. So that would be, in my words, a simple way to try and do something.
It's been a busy week. FA Cup draw, your thoughts?
At home, I sat at my own home watching the draw, and all I said to the family is I wanted a home draw, and it doesn't matter who you get. Of course, we'd rather have the lowest ranked few teams in the competition at home, but we've not, and we've got a difficult opponent in Tranmere who have now with the change of gaffer up there, whether that's coincidence or whether it's new gaffer bounce, but with Nigel going in, and the form seems to have changed. An excellent result, next performance last week, so it'll be a tough one for us. But we're at home and we're against a team termed to be in the league below us, so we cannot complain.
Looking back at last week, how did the squad take it? Obviously, it was the kind of game where they've probably come off and just maybe thought they were second best by the end of the game.
Yeah, I think we moaned and I moaned and spoke openly about the goal that didn't stand, but we were well beaten on the day. So we're in League One here. We're playing against some good teams. You've got a manager in Neil who's got good resources up in Blackpool. He's spent very well. He's got some good players. It was always going to be one of many, many tough games that you see on the road. But the disappointing thing is we've gone behind to a deflected goal, and it's deflected with Jordan, whatever way people want to put it in, but that's what good goal scorers do, they deflect it in. And it is a game-changing decision. And the referee said to me afterwards when I questioned him, if it's a game-changing, if it's onside, he accepts 1,000,000% that is a game-changer. Everyone in the game knows it is, including Neil and his staff. That went against us, but these things tend to at the minute. So we just have to get on with it. How did the players feel? Really down. We didn't perform. We knew we didn't perform, and that means me, the staff as well, because we go together and we come away together. And it was a poor day by our own standards.
Must be really frustrating as well, because you look at the squad and we all know the players that you've got available to you. A case in point is your defensive unit. You haven't had a settled defensive unit now for a few weeks.
Yeah, I think I said a number probably a month or so ago that when we were depleting 3 and 4 kids around the bench and making debut and the down at Exeter and the Carabao and things, is that we've probably been dealt a lot worse cards than most people in the league, but other managers go on and talk about it. My thought process has always been to focus on the lads we've got. I cannot affect somebody next door in the treatment room being fit for Saturday, or if they're in the treatment room, that's down to the medical staff and the player themselves. So, but if you take last week in isolation, we got there with what's been a very settled back 5, and we have 3 big changes to that, big changes. But you can only pick what's available to you.
How is the treatment room?
Yeah, listen, we've got 1 or 2 that'll miss tomorrow, but there won't be 4 or 5 like last week. So we'll have some of those lads back, of course, and that helps us because, tomorrow we face this is a game where most people I've spoken to this week goes, "Oh, Port Vale beat them." Really? Did anybody watch Port Vale at Portsmouth last week when Pompey won by 2-0? Pompey is the best team in the league so far. It's early stages, but by far the best team. But I think both managers on the day said it could have been 3-0 to Port Vale at one stage, 3-0, but they didn't take their chances. And they went toe-to-toe with Bolton, and they're a good team, Port Vale. So we have to look after ourselves. We have to have a top performance. We spoke about tough weeks coming. I spoke about getting to the end of October, and that would give us a fair reflection where we are. And if we look at our places now where we are, we've got a rejuvenated Port Vale who aims under the owner. I know very well. The owner expects playoffs minimum. And then you look at, we go down and see Joey Barton at Bristol Rovers on Tuesday, who've been in tremendous form the last few weeks. And of course we have the giants of League One coming in, and former English champions Derby County with Warney. So it's a real tough week for us.
Port Vale, I mean, it's been a strange season for them. Disastrous start, but they bounced back with some force, didn't they, to affect the top couple of places in the table, and it maybe just dropped away a little bit, but certainly in terms of results.
Yeah, I mean, my first recollection of Port Vale this season is they sacked a very good man in Darryl Clark. Good manager, good man. Whether that's, I would assume, results driven. I know how tough the owner would have found to be able to make that decision. I know how tough Dave Flitcroft would have found to make that decision, and they're probably the protagonists, the people that make that decision. And it must have been tough because they worked so hard to get Darryl to go for Walsall when he was in there. So that's my first recollection. But there's no doubt that when Darryl had some issues the season before, when they win promotion, Andy Crosby stepped in and miracles. That's what Andy produced in keeping that ship on the sailing in the big ocean, and he's taking charge, and he brings more of his own style, more of his own. He's an experienced guy, more of his own way of doing it, and they'll be formidable opponents tomorrow. And
again, we keep saying it, you'll need the fans.
Yeah, listen, the fans here have been tremendous. We took, I think it was 600, 700 supporters to Blackpool and let them down. We said it before, we ain't let them down too many times in 18 months, and it's never getting beat, because we always say whether we win, lose or draw, but we learn. What did I learn on Saturday? And that was, for me, minute for minute, that was our worst performance since I've been here, in terms of we didn't offer anything that we're good at. But at the same time, a team that's expected to be in the playoffs, we should have been 1-1 at half time. And sometimes in a game, you struggle to hold on to the game. If we all remember Carlisle at the Lamex, we should have been 10-1 up, and it finishes 2-2. We don't take our chances, but they stay in the game. They stay in the game, and what they've got is a brilliant manager in Simmel, brilliant players like Garner who can nick a goal, and that's what they did. We should have been turning 1-1 with the opportunity to address our troops to get our standards and level performance up. Plus, of course, goals change feelings in players, they change feelings in belief. And I'm sure if we'd levels in the second half, we'd have seen a much better performance from us. We did in spells, and then we conceded another deflected goal.